70s, and now I'm aiming for mid to high 80s and hitting the same thing. I was high 80s off machine, and now I'm able to put some balls out in the mid 90s.
JT's motivation to want to do it at home, be proactive in his baseball career, and we are able to do these things for him, and it's self-motivated, and he's taken that action. As a parent, you want to be able to say yes to something like that.
It's been making me feel much more confident. Like now going into the season, I feel I have all the ability I need, and I can just lay and trust that all the work I did will pay off.
Started working out, I was about 120, 115, about 160 now. I trusted it, and it worked. If you want to go get it, it's not going to come to you.
My EV was about 75 and my body weight was around 155, around that. Since I joined that, I'm up to almost 180 now, and I'm hitting 80s, around mid 80s.
How much more kind of committed he was and how much more confident he became in his own progress, instead of questioning himself about, am I doing the right thing or is this the right thing? So you could kind of see the stress level decrease a little bit, and then that energy could be focused on really all of the program aspects, right? Or his workouts.
Do that. If you could get on and do what you said day in, day out, it's amazing. Like a game changer.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. I could feel the improvement myself. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
You can give him guidance and he can always ask questions to you. I could see how he became more confident after talking to you every time. You are always there when he needs. I think it's really important to know or be told from someone professional like you.
It was a completely new experience for us. I think we were skeptical. We dove into some of the content. We realized how good it was and the quality of it. The way that you kind of worked with him and you set expectations for him, like, hey, these are the things I'm expecting from you, and that was a big part of why we enjoyed the program as well.
The program has made me like a little eagerness to go out and do something and not just like wait for the team practice and do things on my own.
As his dad, I can tell him till I'm blue in the face that this needs to be done. And sometimes it doesn't resonate coming from the dad. Sometimes it needs to come from a pro ball player.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
I definitely recommend joining it. It's awesome. The community's great. Having you there to support you is incredible, and overall love the program.
You get the full structure. You get your lifting, you get your arm velocity, you get your mechanics, you get your hitting, and the hands-on approach from you.
Infield velo was 68 or something like that. It was not good. My 60-yard dash was 7.7, which is not good either. And I was not very mobile. I wasn't very strong. I mean, I'm a big kid, but a lot of it was just like from my size. My infield velo now is 80, and my 6-yard dash is 70.
It's insane. What was the root cause for all that?
I mean, it was just staying consistent with the program. I think just I had to really stay on, like focus on the path that I was trying to get. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to become elite. I was trying to get better. I know the stats at the time. I was like, oh yeah, that's not that bad. But going back and looking, that's not where I should be to play at the next level. Staying consistent with the program really helped me through that time.
I feel like now I'm really like dialed into what I'm doing. So when I do it, it's just like this before, like you talked about earlier, like it's just coming in naturally.
That felt good. I mean, it gave me my confidence shot up. I think you should join in. You do a really good job of replying back to messages, and you're really fast to help out other people with like coaching and their swings. You're a pretty good coach.
Hitting improved, touching improved, velocity went up, speed went up, everything in general went up. Before joining, I tracked my 60 time and I was running a 8.22, and then after a while I did a showcase and then I ran a 7.08.
What do you think the leading cause for that? That's crazy jump.
Probably mobility and probably the exercises that you have in your academy that allow for growth in those little tiny muscles that people forget about.
I could tell I was hitting the ball a little bit harder, and then it got better and better and better, and then my speed picked up with the sprinting training and all that, and I was just getting a lot better. But before that, it was not super good. I've definitely picked up on my hitting velo. Before I joined the program, my velo was 72 off the bat, and at this showcase, I hit 80.
That's insane, dude.
No, so when I first saw your program, you were talking about how to get to college and how to get D1 and get recruited and all this, and that had me super interested because I'm trying to go D1 and everything, trying to get a scholarship and all this, and your program definitely talks about it and helps you walk through it and get you started. Honestly, I would say like the program definitely helped me a lot. Helped me work through some things, get my visualization for games and all that, just get me prepared.
Obviously, like my program's remote. Like, have you had any trouble by doing the work that I provide you?
Not at all. It's right in front of you. It's just super easy to get. Search it up, find it, and start working.
Welcome Evan Mendoza to the program.
Cardinals third baseman Evan Mendoza.
Giving it a look, finds the railing and he tumbles over, but he made the catch. Unbelievable, Evan Mendoza.
Gran jugada en Evan Mendoza, dos joyas defensivas.
Evan Mendoza makes a great
Rounded up the middle is Mendoza, throws off the shortstop. Mendoza field spins, throw.
Mendoza, throw to first in time. Wow, what a play by Evan Mendoza.
Short. Mendoza to second for one. Oh my word, you've got to be kidding.
Evan Mendoza.
For Mendoza lifts one to left. An inning.
Mendoza, that one's sailing back there, and it's gone.
Now, those are some of the plays and the insights of playing baseball at the highest level, not just posting about it. Now, let's flip the script. Here's what my students and families have to say about working with me.
Just share his stories of the kids asking him, what did you do? And his one answer was one word. Evan.
It's an overall great program to improve your metrics, mental approach, your velocity, and your outreaching strategies. Because there's a ton of players I know that are way better than me that had zero offers because they don't know how to reach out to coaches.
Pretty much every possible number would have gone up. I was high 70s and now I'm aiming for mid to high 80s and hitting the same thing. I was high 80s off machine and now I'm able to put some balls out in the mid 90s.
JT's motivation to want to do it at home, be proactive in his baseball career, and we are able to do these things for him, and it's self-motivated and he's taken that action. As a parent, you want to be able to say yes to something like that.
It's been making me feel much more confident. Like now going into the season, I feel I have all the ability I need and I can just play and trust that all the work I did will pay off.
Started working out, I was about 120, 115, about 160 now. I trusted it and it worked. If you want to go get it, it's not going to come to you.
My EV was about 75 and my body weight was around 155, around that. Since I joined that, I'm up to almost 180 now and I'm hitting 80s, around mid 80s.
How much more kind of committed he was and how much more confident he became in his own progress, instead of questioning himself about, am I doing the right thing or is this the right thing? So you could kind of see the stress level decrease a little bit, and then that energy could be focused on really all of the program aspects, right? Or his workouts.
Do that. If you could get on and do what you said day in, day out, it's amazing. Like a game changer.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. I could feel the improvement myself. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
You can give him guidance and he can always ask questions to you. I could see how he became more confident after talking to you every time. You are always there when he needs. I think it's really important to know or be told from someone professional like you.
Which was a completely new experience for us. I think we were skeptical. We dove into some of the content. We realized how good it was and the quality of it. The way that you kind of worked with him and you set expectations for him. I was like, hey, these are the things I'm expecting from you. And that was a big part of why we enjoyed the program as well.
The program has made me like a little eagerness to go out and do something and not just like wait for the team practice and do things on my own.
As his dad, I can tell him till I'm blue in the face that this needs to be done. And sometimes it doesn't resonate coming from the dad. Sometimes it needs to come from a pro ball player.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
I definitely recommend joining it. It's awesome. The community's great. Having you there to support you is incredible, and overall love the program.
You get the full structure. You get your lifting, you get your arm velocity, you get your mechanics, you get your hitting, and the hands-on approach from you.
Infield velo was 68 or something like that. It was not good. My 60-yard dash was 7.7, which is not good. And I was not very mobile. I wasn't very strong. I mean, I'm a big kid, but a lot of it was just like from my size. My infield velo now is 80, and my 6-yard dash is 70.
It's insane. What was the root cause for all that?
I mean, it was just staying consistent with the program. I think just I had to really stay on, like focus on the path that I was trying to get. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to become elite. I was trying to get better. I know the stats. At the time, I was like, oh yeah, that's not that bad. But going back and looking, that's not where I should be to play at the next level. Staying consistent with the program really helped me through that time.
I feel like now I'm really dialed into what I'm doing. So when I do it, it's just like this before, like you talked about earlier, like it's just coming in naturally.
That felt good. I mean, it gave me my confidence shot up. I think you should join in. You do a really good job of replying back to messages, and you're really fast to help out other people with like coaching and their swings. You're a pretty good coach.
Hitting improved, lifting improved, velocity went up, speed went up, everything in general went up. Before joining, I tracked my 60 time and I was running at 8.22, and then after a while, I did a showcase, and then I ran a 7.08.
What do you think leading cause for that? That's a crazy jump.
Probably mobility and probably the exercises that you have in your academy that allow for growth in those little tiny muscles that people forget about.
I could tell I was hitting the ball a little bit harder, and then it got better and better and better, and then my speed picked up with the sprinting training and all that, and I was just getting a lot better. But before that, it was not super good. I've definitely picked up on my hitting velo. Before I joined the program, my velo was 72 off the bat, and at this showcase, I hit 80.
That's insane, dude.
No, so when I first saw your program, you were talking about how to get to college and how to get D1 and get recruited and all this, and that had me super interested because I'm trying to go D1 and everything, try to get a scholarship and all this, and your program definitely talks about it and helps you walk through it and get you started. Honestly, I would say like the program definitely helped me a lot. Helped me work through some things, get my visualization for games and all that, just get me prepared.
Obviously, like my program's remote. Like, have you had any trouble by doing the work that I provide you?
Not at all. It's right in front of you. So it's super easy to get. Search it up, find it, and start working.
Welcome Evan Mendoza to the program. Cardinals third baseman Evan Mendoza.
First giving it a look, finds the railing and he tumbles over, but he made the catch. Unbelievable, Evan Mendoza.
Gran jugada en Evan Mendoza, dos joyas defensivas.
Evan Mendoza makes a great
Rounded up the middle is Mendoza, throws out the shortstop. Mendoza field spins, throws.
Mendoza, throw to first in time. Wow, what a play by Evan Mendoza. Short. Mendoza to second for one. Oh my word, you've got to be kidding. Evan Mendoza.
For Mendoza.
Mendoza lifts one to left. An inning.
Mendoza, that one's sailing back there, and it's gone.
Now, those are some of the plays and the insights of playing baseball at the highest level, not just posting about it. Now, let's flip the script. Here's what my students and families have to say about working with me.
Just share his stories of the kids asking him, what did you do? And his one answer was one word. Evan.
It's an overall great program to improve your metrics, mental approach, your velocity, and your outreaching strategies. Because there's a ton of players I know that are way better than me that had zero offers because they don't know how to reach out to coaches.
Pretty much every possible number when I've gone up. I was high 70s and now I'm aiming for mid to high 80s and hitting the same thing. I was high 80s off machine and now I'm able to put some balls out in the mid 90s.
JT's motivation to want to do it at home, be proactive in his baseball career, and we are able to do these things for him, and it's self-motivated and he's taken that action. As a parent, you want to be able to say yes to something like that.
It's been making me feel much more confident. Like now going into the season, I feel I have all the ability I need and I can just play and trust that all the work I did will pay off.
Started working out, I was about 120, 115, about 160 now. I trusted it and it worked. If you want to go get it, it's not going to come to you.
My EV was about 75 and my body weight was around 155, around that. Since I joined that, I'm up to almost 180 now and I'm hitting 80s, around mid 80s.
How much more kind of committed he was and how much more confident he became in his own progress, instead of questioning himself about, am I doing the right thing or is this the right thing? So you could kind of see the stress level decrease a little bit, and then that energy could be focused on really all of the program aspects, right? Or his workouts.
Do that. If you could get on and do what you said day in, day out, it's amazing. Like a game changer.
Through your program, I just realized how much...
Alrighty. Welcome into another episode of Coffee and Baseball. Welcome back in, guys. I'm your host, Evan Mendoza. Played 7 years of professional baseball between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres, and I want to be able to share as much valuable baseball content with you all. So welcome in if this is your first time, and as you guys know, one of my favorite things to do as we get kick-started is to move this number over to the next, which today is day 15. Congratulations if you've made it this far, or if you are a first-time viewer, that is awesome as well. Guys, we're going to be talking about some baseball development, mindset, recruiting. These are all the things that I love to talk about, and I love to be able to give you guys some additional guidance if you need it. So, well, let's start off because we had a couple of questions in the queue already. So, well, which one? We've been told he's projectable. What does that mean? So let's talk about being projectable. Because a lot of people might hear this for the very first time in the whole college recruiting process, and we want to make sure that we have the understanding of what does that actually mean. What are they just like blowing smoke, or like what does this actually mean as far as the whole college recruiting process? So I'm here to tell you it is a good thing, because it shows that you have the ability to potentially one day join in to their baseball program. So it is important to keep that in mind, that is a good thing. It is a good thing, so don't view it as a bad thing, right? There are things that in the whole college recruiting process will be a good thing when we're talking about projectability, right? And typically, if you are let's just say 6'3", but you're 120 pounds, right? You're a noodle. This is going to make it basically an ability for college coaches to be like, yeah, he's projectable, especially as a pitcher, especially maybe if he's a left-handed pitcher, right? Or a lefty in general speaking, right? So based off of just the height and weight alone, we can kind of tell he's a 16-year-old kid. Once he gets after it in the gym, once he actually does things the right way, yes, that 120 is going to turn into 180 really, really quickly if he's eating the right foods, if we help him develop, especially at a specific university. So if you ever hear that your son is projectable, that is always, always, always going to be a great thing. So just keep that in mind. It's not a bad thing if you hear that your son is projectable. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and actually join in over here. There we go. And yeah, guys, if you have any baseball related questions, feel free to ask them down below in the chat. That's what this live is for. So don't feel like you can't ask questions. That's exactly what this is for. And there are some people that have already asked questions, so I'm going to get to them. And if you have a question that has been brewing in your mind, especially with all the noise that is happening in the whole college recruiting process, I totally get it. So he's not on social media much. Is that hurting his visibility? Yes, it is, right? Social media is what you are on right now, right? Social media is TikTok. It is Instagram. It is YouTube. It is X. It is Facebook, right? And these are platforms that are being utilized every single day to get recruited. And if you don't believe me, there are players out there that have major NIL opportunities because they were able to position themselves the right way over on social media from the get-go, by the way. That is something that's really important to understand. It's from the get-go. We don't do the whole recruiting side senior year and then we post on social media junior year and hope that that little 1 year span is enough to really grow and build that traction. Guys, that's not how recruiting and social media, using social media as the vehicle to help get recruited, that's not how that works, right? So we always want to keep that in mind. We don't want to start too late, because that is just like anything else, especially in the gym. I think we already know this for whatever reason. Sometimes you guys like to give me a hard time, but I think you already know this, right? To be able to develop into, like we talked about, that 120 into a 180, right? That doesn't happen in a month. It takes brick by brick by brick by brick by brick, and being able to do that over, let's say, 8 to 12 months, right? These things aren't overnight successes, and I think a lot of people like to glorify overnight successes, and I think we've all seen this before, right? This is the curve of an overnight success, right? Where this is year 0, this is year 5. I think we all know this, right? This is year 10 of just absolutely in the trenches, grinding it out each and every day. And then maybe right here, you start to get some traction at year 12. And then all of a sudden you go parabolic and you're at year 14 or 13 and people call you an overnight success. In my opinion, this is not an overnight success, right? And I think we've all seen this before. It takes the compounding effect, and by the way, that's a great book if anyone hasn't read it before. I believe it's called The Compounding Effect or Compounding Effect. But yeah, it's a great book, guys. Go check it out if you haven't already. We got a couple of other questions over on YouTube. Proud X Rain 22. Let's see what your question is. Can I get help with recruiting in my senior year? Is it possible? Dude, I have worked with seniors in your probably exact situation, assuming that your metrics are aligned with what a senior should be, with 0 offers in March. And then we were able to generate around 5 offers by May. So between that time, yes, a lot of things can change without a doubt, dude. But like, what are we changing right now here today by even joining this live? Like, what is it that you actually need help with? Because just I help high school baseball players play in college. That is what I do inside my program for anyone that hasn't joined in or hasn't hopped on an eligibility review or hasn't clicked the link in my bio on Instagram or YouTube. That is what I help out with, Proud Rain. So like, if that's what you need help with, yes. The answer is yes. Is it possible senior year? I just told you yes. And by the way, this individual, Jacob Rain, by the way, he lives in Washington State. So not your hotbed of Florida, Texas, Arizona, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Like, he wasn't living in those states. He was living in Washington State. For anyone that doesn't know, if I'm going to draw a really bad United States of America, something like that. I'm not talking about Washington, D.C. I'm talking about Washington State, okay? He was living way over here outside of Seattle, and he was able to land a college commitment his senior year. Again, he had 0 offers when he came to me in March, and then we were able to generate some offers, of course, by just reaching out to these college coaches the right way, being a little bit more professional when it comes to the outreach, because that's something that college coaches will kind of grade you on, just like they're grading you on your 60 time, your arm velocity, exit velocity, things like that. Guys, these college coaches will also grade you on your professionalism when you're reaching out to these college coaches, and also how much you sound like a baseball player. So hopefully that gives you some insights. But yeah, by the way, Nadi, you're welcome for the invite. I'm sorry for just seeing that right now. But guys, if you have any baseball related questions, that's what this live is for. So don't be shy. Ask your questions. We got some over here as well. We're considering JUCO, but don't want to limit his options. That's the most common thing. When does that really make sense? So guys, JUCO, I'm going to use the example that I used yesterday, and some of you guys that were joining in yesterday. By the way, we're on day 15 of 30, streaming every single day. Guys, I'm going to use the example that I kind of used yesterday, right? Because when we really think about it, we want to shoot for the stars. Ooh, 1 second. We really want to shoot for the stars, right? And the stars, ideally, like, this should be D1. In my opinion, everyone should have incredibly scary, big dreams that they're shooting for, because that's what's going to make it all worth it at the end of the day, right? You should have those dreams and goals that scare you or your son. Where your son says, hey, I want to play in the big leagues, you should like internally kind of think the logical response, be like, son, that's really hard to do. Like, of course we don't want to respond that way to our kids, especially if they want to play college baseball, right? But we need to understand that like those dreams and goals are going to be scary for you, scary for him, and that's what makes it worthwhile. Because if your son is able to achieve those goals and reach that high level of D1 baseball or in the MLB, or let's just say he comes up just short. This is, again, what I referenced yesterday. Just like Kanye West said, if you shoot for the stars, you might fall and land on the clouds, right? The clouds might be D2, the clouds might be the minor leagues, but either way, you're shooting for those big dreams and goals, those big dreams, aspirations, and ideally, I never want you to be shooting for JUCO, because what's underneath JUCO on this cloud, it's really just like varsity high school baseball. And I don't want your son to fall back to being a varsity high school baseball player, and that's the only thing that's like really cool out of his baseball journey, right? Like, that's not going to be cool to tell other people as well. One thing that I mentioned yesterday, and it's really about the topic of hitting lessons and going to a private instructor. Just a show of hands, anybody on Instagram, anybody on YouTube, anybody on Facebook, we're streaming on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Anybody whatsoever has gone to a private lesson, like show of hands, show of an emoji, because I want to make sure that I'm talking to the right people. If none of you guys have ever gone to a hitting coach before or a pitching coach, then like I'm going to direct what I say completely differently. So I want to make sure that what I tell you actually will resonate with you, and that's again the reason for doing these lives, is because I want to make sure that the advice that I'm giving you guys is not vanilla. I want to make sure that's specific to you and your guys' situation specifically. So anybody gone to a hitting coach, pitching coach, and we're seeing a couple people that have, and yes, it's pretty common for serious high school baseball players that have gone to a hitting coach, a pitching coach, etc. Even a private trainer in the gym, right? These things are normal. And it really comes to the conversation where, especially when we're talking about developing the right skills for the future generation of high school baseball players to turn into college players and turn into big league baseball players, right? So that's the basis of what I like to talk about, because I want my students in particular to start on my shoulders. So that way they're able to grow, and basically if their feet are on my shoulders, they're really growing into bigger, better baseball players than I am. And that's great. That's why I coach. I want them to have a head start. So if we're talking about high school baseball players or even middle school baseball players, and I want them to have that head start, it starts between the ears. So the example that I drew out yesterday, right? And this might resonate with some of you guys. It might not resonate whatsoever to any of you guys. It really depends on who your son is and how he likes to go about his business. So let's say, that is I'm going to show off my skills of drawing right now. So let's say like that is a chair, that is a table, and your son is extremely hungry. One second, I want to read this. Do you think travel ball organizations help with getting recruited to college, or is it just achievable by going your own showcase and playing for your own high school? Travel ball will help you play on the right field or potentially on the right team if it's the right team. They are not going to be the ones initiating conversations. So yes, they will say that they help players get recruited because they're putting the team in the right atmosphere, but you still need to put the initiative on reaching out to these college baseball coaches. And if you're not, don't expect them to. They will pick up the phone just like their high school team, or just like myself. Like if a college coach ever reaches out to me, I'm going to pick up that phone call because it doesn't take any extra work to help one of my players get recruited. Of course, I want all my players to get recruited. It makes my organization look better, right? Just like travel ball organizations, right? But as far as the outreach directly to these college baseball coaches, that's where a lot of people get frustrated from travel ball organizations. They promise, the moon, and then basically they don't even attempt to try to reach out to college baseball coaches. And I'm living proof, guys. My high school coach and my travel ball coach told me that they would help me get recruited, when in reality we were just a good quality team that played on the right field, and we were that right team that attracted people. But they didn't reach out to college baseball coaches. I had to do that myself, and I had to learn the hard way. I don't want you guys to learn the hard way. So again, taking the ownership of our career, this is kind of what I'm getting into with the hitting lessons, the pitching coaches, and the private training and everything like that, guys, because this is an area where I think a lot of high school baseball players go wrong. And if I could teach you just one thing on this slide, this is exactly what I would be teaching you guys. So in this example, we have a long table and we have a bunch of food, right? So these, this is like a Thanksgiving dinner. We have turkey, we got ham, we got everything. We got mashed potatoes, we got jam, mashed potatoes. I already said that. We got stuffing, we got green bean casserole. We got it all, right? Sweet potato casserole, all the good stuff, right? All the fixings. And your son is right here at the dinner table, and he's so excited to eat because he just complained to you, "Hey, Mom, I'm lacking confidence. Hey, Daddy, I'm not feeling the best at the plate. Mom, I want to be more Instagram famous so that way I can get NIL opportunities and this and that," right? Or I just want to be a better baseball player. He's sitting down at that table basically telling you, "Mommy, Daddy, I'm hungry," right? So he's sitting down at that table, and your son is a 15-year-old freshman or sophomore in high school, but he's sitting down at that table, and you think it's best, you're over here, you think it's best to walk over here and spoon feed him, right? In that scenario, who actually takes ownership of delivering that hunger or relieving that hunger, right? You're the one relieving that hunger for him, when in reality, he needs to understand that he needs to take the initiative to pick up the fork, pick up the spoon, and feed himself, right? In that example, it's very similar to baseball, though. If you're driving him to private lessons, you're paying for it, you're forcing him to hit for 1 hour a week, and you think that's going to move the needle. That's not going to move the needle. It's not enough. He needs to take that ownership to be able to do that extra work away from private lessons, away from team practices, away from the gym workouts that his team is already doing. That extra work that he's doing in the shadows is what's going to shine bright under the lights, right? And if mommy or daddy is feeding him in this example, or basically doing the work for him, this was actually coming from a question that someone asked yesterday, as far as, should I be posting, and this was coming from a parent, should I be posting for my son on social media? No, you should not be. If your son wants to play college baseball, he needs to be the one posting. Oh, well, should I be the one emailing college baseball coaches? No, if you're the parent, no, you should not be emailing college coaches. If your son wants to play college baseball, he needs to be the one reaching out to college baseball coaches. Again, just like this example, if he is hungry, he needs to be the one that feeds himself. Hopefully that made sense. I don't know if that was too much of a ramble, but this is what I feel truly, deeply, why I didn't do any lessons past 6th grade. I didn't go to a private hitting coach. I didn't go to a private pitching coach, personal trainer, none of that. Because I saw through lessons, guys. If we're really thinking about 1 hour a week, and by the way, I posted a reel and my math was terribly wrong just recently on Instagram, so like, don't trust all of my math that I do here on these lives. 1 hour a week compared, and this is the private lesson route, right? You're telling your son basically 1 hour a week's enough because you're getting good instruction for 1 hour. You need to be your own best coach, and your son needs to be his own best coach, right? So 1 hour a week versus the guy that takes it upon himself, maybe 3 hours every single day for 7 days. That's 21 hours a week. It's simple math, guys. Who do you think is going to win in that example? Who do you think is going to develop faster than everyone else, right? If we do that extra work, and it typically comes down to just doing an unfathomable amount of extra work rather than just doing what everyone else is doing to become great in anything. This isn't about baseball anymore. This is just being great at anything. It takes an abnormal amount of hard work, extra work, to achieve things that most will never be able to achieve. I love the quote, do today what others won't, so tomorrow you can do what others can't. And most people aren't willing to put in the hard work today, tomorrow, next week, or next month. So we need to understand that. Again, guys, I love that quote. Do today what others won't, so tomorrow you can do what others can't. And most people don't want, like I said, guys, don't want to do the hard work today, tomorrow, next week, next month, because it's hard. And that is the point. Last night I was doing the cold plunge, and it's not something that's easy. It's not something that I necessarily even look forward to. And sometimes I just tell myself I absolutely hate it. And it's really the mental side that makes me enjoy it, because I tell myself it's very much so black and white, right? Basically, and of course this is red or white, right? But when I tell myself like, hey, I want to do something, it's not working. I want to go into the cold plunge. I'm gonna go into the cold plunge right away, and basically it needs to be binary. It needs to be 1 or 0, right? And basically when I tell myself that, I just do it, right? I don't think about it, I just do it. And I was actually using an example, and there's actually someone in the cold plunge yesterday that I kind of helped him through the process because it did not look like he wanted to be in the cold plunge whatsoever. And I told him, like, basically there's a huge clock at the gym that I go to where the cold plunge is. And basically it was like 6 minutes, 53 seconds, 6 minutes, 54 seconds, and so on until it gets to 7 minutes, right? And I told myself, or I told him, and I always tell myself the same thing, and this is actually something that helps me just be productive and stay on top of myself. And this can definitely go the wrong way, but anyone has ever like looked at the clock and it's like, oh, it's 11:20 and 50 seconds, 51 seconds, 52. I'm like, okay, at 11:21 in 5 seconds, I'm gonna dunk my head underneath the water. And I told him that's basically my cheat code of just telling myself I'm gonna do something, and then when that time comes, I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna think, I'm not gonna, wonder if it's gonna be worth it. I'm just going to act on what I said I'm gonna do. So when a lot of high school baseball players come to me and they say they want to hit better, they want to get better. Okay, so are you doing anything in the moment to actually get better, or are you waiting for someone to hold your hand through the process? These are things that I always love to be able to share with you guys, because these are the things that matter mentally in the whole game of college baseball and college baseball recruiting, and also just overall player development. We got Lindsey Kaufman over here. My son is already at school practice for 2 to 3 hours a day. Should he be putting in his own 3 hours on top of that? I mean, look, so this is the example that I love. And Lindsey, hopefully this makes sense. This is skill, and this is time, right? So basically, if you think about it, if we do absolutely nothing, and let's just put the example out there. Lindsay, who's your son's favorite player? Maybe like a Juan Soto, maybe a Fernando Tatis, maybe an Aaron Judge, maybe a Shohei Ohtani, right? Like, if your son is any of those, loves any of those players, just like a lot of us, let's just say Shohei Ohtani's way up here. We're going to use Dodger Blue. And he doesn't do a single thing for the rest of his career. He's not going to work out. He's not going to do, which, by the way, he is hitting batting practice. He's working out in the gym. He's doing all that extra work. But let's just say, for this example, he does nothing and he's going to be completely stagnant. Over time, he's not increasing in any skill whatsoever. This is the example that I used to give myself in middle school and high school. And maybe that's why I was mentally prepared for college baseball and professional baseball, because I kind of just saw it coming. Now, let's say we're going to use red as your high school. Actually, we're going to use pink as your his high school 2 to 3 hour practice day every single day, right? So if the whole high school team is practicing, let's just say everyone's starting from ground zero. Your son's starting from ground zero. Your high school team's starting from ground zero. They're going to get better over time, believe it or not. Obviously, they're developing 2 to 3 hours a day, right? So that's the high school team, right? And then over here, that's number 19, right? So we need to think, okay, we're green now, and green is your son. So green, he's starting just right where everyone else is as far as his high school baseball program, because I promise you guys, the easiest time to separate yourself will be in high school. It's not going to be in college. It's not going to be in professional baseball. And the reason for that is because when you're in pro ball, you're splitting hairs as far as who's better than the next player, right? Because everyone runs fast, everyone throws hard, everyone hits the ball hard and has quality at-bats. It's very difficult to separate yourself in professional baseball. Same thing in college. Everyone's a little bit better. High school will be the easiest time for your son to separate himself from the rest of the competition, because the majority, and I say the majority because 93-ish% of high school baseball players will never play in college. It's the easiest way to separate yourself because no one's willing to put that extra work in. So if your son is doing what the rest of the team is doing, let me know, Lindsay, I think Lindsay, yeah, if this is a trajectory you're okay with. Because if that's a trajectory that you're okay with, he's okay with, well, I would probably just tell him, have fun in high school, enjoy yourself, make friends, make sure that it's a good quality experience, right? Because again, if we're the majority of high school baseball players, what do the majority of high school baseball players get as far as reaching the next level? Do they reach the next level, or do they not reach the next level? I'll give you guys a hint. They don't reach the next level, the majority of high school baseball players. So that green trajectory that I just wrote out, that's if your son does everything that the high school baseball program does. That's if your son does what everyone else is doing, he better expect to be just as good as everyone else. That's just common sense in my mind, how I think about things. So from the get-go, if your son is able to do that extra work, and that extra work just keeps compounding just like everything else, now that's your son. And then this area between, and by the way, guys, I have an engineering background, so like this is why I like to like demonstrate some of these things visually. This yellow area, now that's the difference between your son and the next, right? Your son and the next teammate, I should say, not necessarily your next son. But hopefully we can understand that like it is that extra work that we're going to put in. Not saying that he has to do 3 extra hours every single day to be able to see that difference, but he needs to do something. I think we can all agree. And the biggest flex that I have as far as the consistency that I had in high school baseball, I guess the question is, how does he take control of his development? So this is where it's important that we're doing this live, right? If we didn't do this live, we wouldn't be able to shift up the question like we just did. I guess the question is, how does he take control of his development if his coach uses most of his time? This is where we struggle. So I guess the real question is, Lindsay, I don't know if you're really even asking the right question. You're asking, how do I get more time out of the day? And correct me if I'm wrong, but like it sounds like to me like time is the excuse why your son's not able to play or do extra work as far as his development. Because if that's the root issue right now, then we need to make a sacrifice, right? And yeah, that's my same question, because his time can. So, I mean, if this is like the mindset that we're teaching the younger generation of high school baseball players, like that you can't do stuff because we don't have enough time. Guys, let me just explain something really, really simple about time, right? School and baseball, no free time. I completely disagree with you, Courtney 423. We have, by the way, I'm a human. I just breathe normal air, just like probably you. I have 24 hours. You have 24 hours. Shohei Ohtani has 24 hours. Albert Pujols has 24 hours. Yadier Molina has 24 hours. Fernando Tatis has 24 hours. Juan Soto has 24 hours. The question is not, and this is where like maybe I'm going to ruffle some feathers, but guys, I also went to high school. I understand that usually from like 8 a.m. until like 2:30, he's at school. I get that, right? So like already from the get-go, what is that? 8, let's just say 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. We're going to say 7 hours. You absolutely, this is blocked off. So I'm not talking about not going to school. I am not talking about that. What I am talking about is how are we producing anything in this extra time? Okay, let's talk about it. High school practice, let's just say 2.5, 3 hours a day. So that's 3 hours. That's right here. Let's do, okay, we're going to have to redo this. Okay, this is all blocked off because of that's school. And this is really the question that was asked, is how do we have more time? And I'm sharing this with you because this is how my mind thinks. This is high school practice, and that's going to take us to 10 hours. So now we have 14 hours out of the day. Okay, well, yeah, my son needs to sleep. Yes, he does need to sleep. This is where, like, if he's really, really struggling with time, we need to make some level of a sacrifice, right? Because the sacrifice could be sleep. If you don't believe me, like a guy like Kobe Bryant, read his book, Mamba Mentality. He sacrificed sleep to be able to wake up at 4 a.m., get a first workout in. This is something that just like is 10.0 mentality, by the way, guys. This is not my mentality. This is Kobe Bryant's mentality. We've all heard of doing 2-a-days, right? What I'm telling you guys is like how to take that step from 1 workout to 2 workouts. Like that's like a mental shift in itself for you guys for whatever reason. What Kobe was really talking about, because he understands at the professional level, a lot of guys are already doing 2-a-days. He was trying to shift into how do I make enough time out of the day to have 3 workouts. And his solution was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting 1 workout in, going back, eating breakfast, maybe taking a nap at typically maybe around like 11 o'clock in the late morning, early afternoon, 2nd workout. Now, team workout would maybe be in the afternoon or maybe in the morning. I don't really remember or know, but usually at like 7, maybe 6 o'clock at night. 3rd workout. So he understood that the thing that really was going to be able to drive the needle, to be able to rest properly, give his body recovery time, was simply just to wake up early, to be able to sacrifice sleep. Now, he did go to sleep. I'm pretty sure in the book he mentioned going to sleep typically if there wasn't a game, usually around like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So right after that 3rd workout. So that's something that like, he wasn't on his phone scrolling. He wasn't, of course, at school, things like that. But let's get back to it. We have 14 hours and we really want to, I guess, sleep. I'm not even going to put sleep as like a priority right here because again, like if we have the mental capacity to understand that a priority is singular. So I can't be having a priority on technically school and sleep and high school practice and developing my own skills on my own time, right? Like the priority needs to be one singular thing. And if the priority is to take his development to the next level without having that time, well, if we are locked in here, we are locked in here, we need to be more productive here. And this is where like, personally speaking, because by the way, guys, talk about time. I did aerospace engineering in college. That was not easy. So if that's your angle of like you guys don't have time, first off, like we wouldn't be a good fit for each other inside the program because my students take the game serious. Their priority is to play baseball at the next level, and they're not going to use time as an excuse because everyone has the same 24 hours. If you want to battle me on that, we can battle all day long, but I promise you every single person on this planet has 24 hours. It's how we use those 24 hours to be productive on something we prioritize. And from a little bit of these questions kind of back to back, guys, like it just seems like maybe it's not a priority. Maybe hanging out with friends is the priority. Maybe it's just, I'm gonna do what the coaches says. So like so I don't get on his bad side. It could be any of those things, but like time can't be the excuse, guys. We all have 24 hours. It's about how we're using those 24 hours. And you guys, with some of these questions, you're telling me that you're not using the 24 hours the right way. So what I personally did, because I did aerospace engineering, is like in this school time, I'd find time like this to do homework. I'd find time like this in between classes, maybe during lunch. I did that all the time. I would do homework. If I finished classwork early and I had 15 minutes after a class, right here, I would do homework. Because typically speaking, and from the parents' perspective, and probably like Lindsay and maybe Courtney, you guys probably think all these 14 hours need to be done for, studying and, homework. No, I don't believe that at all. If this is school time, I want to be doing schoolwork during school time, practice during practice time, and then that way my rest of my day can be on my own time, which is developing, getting better, going to the gym for my second workout, doing my sprinting program, etc. So this is typically what I did. So right after high school practice, I would typically tell my mom, because my mom usually would pick me up. She worked close enough to the high school to pick me up. Usually high school would get out around like 2:30, and high school practice would go until like maybe like 4-ish, maybe 4 to 5. I would say like pick me up, and this was like during a spring season and things like that, but I would tell my mom to pick me up like an hour or two later. So it forced me to basically get that extra work in. Right? And I would just do it right then and there because I'm already at the baseball field. Why would I go somewhere home and then not have to be able to do that, right? So this is where I wanted to make sure, like, let's just get that extra work in because I'm already there. I'm not trying to go that extra mile of travel time just to go back, right? And then that way, when I get home, I would do this is probably like an extra 30 minutes. I would do a sprinting program each and every day by myself, competing against myself, really training on my mental side, where I'm getting an extra, what is that, like maybe an hour and a half extra of work in, and I would do that consistently throughout even the high school season. Now, if we're talking about the fall ball season, this is where, like after high school, we would sometimes have a lift, right, a team lift, and then right after that, I would do extra skill work, and then I would do my sprint work. So that's skill, and that's sprint work. And then I would have home, and then basically for the rest of my night, that's when I would eat dinner. I would do all the essentials, right? But as far as the conversation, as far as like not having time, like I get it maybe from your perspective. You're a parent, you feel the pressure of not having time. Your son's a high school baseball player, and like if anything, he's itching to do more baseball work. There's a limiter in some capacity on like, I guess why you can't get that extra work in. But typically it's more of a mindset shift because we all have 24 hours. Don't try to fight me on that because I think I'm going to win. Mine works out an hour and a half before school, so he's getting that extra work in already. Awesome. So you just said that he has school and baseball, but he doesn't have any free time though. What? I'm confused. So get there at 6:30 and doesn't leave school until 7 or 8 o'clock most days, and he has 3 to 4 games a week, counting weekends games. Okay, so like if he's doing 3 to 4 games throughout the week, throughout the year, that's probably the issue where you guys aren't able to understand to like zoom out. If this is the year and baseball season should run somewhere like this from like, depending on warm weather state when your high school season starts, but typically speaking, that's February to October. There needs to be a focus right here to strictly develop. And it sounds like to me, you guys are in baseball mode 24/7, and you guys have probably been sold that by travel ball teams ever since your son was in middle school, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, where play, and play some more is going to help you guys get developed and play in college. That's not how baseball works. You need to focus on development side of things, and that's more of, again, maybe not knowing where to put that time, but if you guys are playing 3 to 4 games every single week of the year, that's not good. Our school doesn't get out till 4. They practice after school till like 7 or 8. Okay, yeah. I mean, if he has practice right after school, and typically practice doesn't start the second that school gets out. Usually it starts maybe 30 to 45 minutes after. Is he getting his homework in? Is he getting basically all the essentials in? So that way, when he gets home at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, can he do a 15 or 20 minute sprinting program, right? because like we can keep telling ourselves that we don't have time. I'm not going to believe you guys. Like, there is time to put in extra work. There are Dominicans going to basically baseball academies that's their only focus, is to be able to play baseball. So like, I'm not telling you guys to join a baseball only academy, because guess what? There's a lot of Americans that go through high school baseball, put in the extra work because they prioritize playing college baseball. They play D1 college baseball, and then they get drafted, rise up the minor leagues very, very quickly. And I think over half of the big leaguers have played college baseball, and typically are American that play college baseball. So it's not impossible. Anyway, I agree, Evan. Your only competition is yourself. Yeah, like, and that's what we exactly train inside the sprinting program for the 14-day challenge. The 14-day challenge, for anyone that doesn't know, inside my academy, it's 100% remote. We help high school baseball players play in college, and one of the very first things that we want to really develop is a good, strong work ethic, that consistency, and making sure that we're able to train in an environment to really compete against ourselves. So it's a simple sprinting program. It doesn't take more than 10 yards of space, and ideally it's the competitiveness that we learn that carries over into our arm velocity, that carries over into our hitting abilities, that carries over into us as a competitor. And with this competition that we're ultimately creating each and every day for 14 straight days, really lays the groundwork of what we're able to accomplish on the recruiting side, the mental side, and of course the physical side in the gym. He plays varsity football, bing, 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 since freshman year as well, and is a junior now, so he wants to work at both sports. He loves to see where he can get a college for either. So right now, like, I mean, he's split. Again, like, you're proving the point over and over and over again, right? You're saying at first, like, he doesn't have time, right? Yeah, that's my same question, because because his time is consumed from school and baseball and school and no free time, right? Like, you keep telling me there's times where you're not, like, this is a baseball Q&A. Of course, I'm going to be a little bit more biased towards, like, yeah, your son should be playing baseball. And, like, yes, like, two-sport athletes are great. Two-sport athletes are usually pretty athletic. If your son actually is really good at football, like, keep playing football. I'm not telling you to stop playing football, but just don't use the excuse, especially with me, because I'm not going to put up with it, that you guys don't have time if he's devoting his time, half of his time, especially in the fall time, where ideally the fall time shouldn't be used to really, and this is a mindset that I had throughout playing professional baseball for 7 years, by the way. Throughout the season, when you're playing games, just like your son's playing games in the fall time for football, it really, playing games will, one axe stroke at a time, start hammering away basically your energy, your power, and quite literally mentally, I feel like my body deteriorates throughout a baseball season because it's consistent. You know, we play games all the time, we're working out, we're putting our bodies through basically everything imaginable. So imagine what your son's feeling as far as his body level, his body, not necessarily just health. Of course, we know football, it's a contact sport. The health isn't, of question. But think about what your son's really going to be going through from a body standpoint. Like, is he at 100% at the beginning of fall? And then he slides to 70%? And then he doesn't have enough time to recover and get after it in the gym and really, like I talked about, develop in the fall time. So now he's starting his high school season at 70%. Throughout the summer, throughout the high school spring season and then the summer, like, he's at 20%. And then he's just going right back here. So, like, is there ever really a time to really recover, right? So I'm not making excuses, just listening for advice and your thoughts, new to all of this, as he is the oldest. And it's not your fault, right? You're a parent. I'm not a parent. I just like to share the experiences that I had throughout my college recruiting process that helped me play in college. I like sharing the experiences that helped me play professional baseball and as long as I did, because to be honest with you, like, I was overlooked in high school. I was probably the third best player on my high school baseball team. So I was never like that star-studded player. In college, I went there as a two-way. So I was a pitcher and an infielder, but really my freshman year, I was only a pitcher and I did not work out. I had an 8 ERA. I did terrible, right? And then I made a change, and a lot of these changes, the mental side plays a huge part of it. And that's why I want to share these mindsets, because if you guys never really reflect and take I always like to say 30,000 foot approach. I hope you guys understand what that means. It's like, you're in an airplane. That's the airplane. 30,000 feet. And when you're up there looking down, it just looks different, right? The land, the landscape, the farms, the cities, it just looks a little bit different. Sometimes I catch myself out on the airplane looking out. Oh, I didn't know that looked like that. It just looks different. The cars look so small. They're moving so, not as quick. So if you really think about that 30,000 foot approach, like with where your son's currently at, Courtney, like, doesn't it look a little bit different when we're looking at the whole calendar? Like it's like this, that's 1 year. That's 1 year. That's 1 year. That's 1 year. And guess what? That's high school. It's not a lot of time. It's 4 years. You know how quick 4 years goes? It goes very, very quickly. So hopefully that gives you some understanding as far as like with that time component, because like, yes, I feel the rush. I think I might have seen that he might be a junior, right? So junior year might be around the time when he starts getting his license and permit and things like that, and hopefully that can help with the whole process of like hopefully not becoming the Uber that you probably have been for a lot of his development years, right? Going to the travel ball games, like you have been his Uber, and I commend you for that, because like my parents had to do that for a certain time as well. And then there's a certain time where like he needs to understand his, and this is what we like to talk about on eligibility reviews. It's, by the way, it's a Zoom call to kind of see if you and your son are even eligible. I'm speaking to everyone, by the way. Eligibility reviews, it's basically the step to get admitted into my academy and make sure that you guys are a good fit for me, because that is important. Like, I'm not going to accept everyone, because then we're not going to get the results that we get on our client wins page. But then also if we're a good fit for you guys. So we really map out that game plan. Be able to like really look at things from a 30,000 foot approach. That's what that Zoom call is. I know a lot of people like don't want to even hop on a Zoom call. It's like, cool. You don't get to self-assess where you guys are currently at. Cool. That's only going to hurt you guys in the long run. But that is an important process in building out that game plan, making sure that we're able to see things from a different lens. Do you only work with high school kids? We work with mostly high school baseball players. On occasion, we will work with a very dedicated 8th grader. I'm not going to say it's all the time, but on occasion, if the 8th grader is well spoken, if they are very driven, if we can hop again on an eligibility review and have probably 60% of the conversation with the player, 40% with the parent, then like he would be a pretty solid fit for what we're looking for. But typically speaking, we only work with high school baseball players. But again, on occasion, a very dedicated 8th grader. So hopefully that answers your question, Carlin, Billy. Yeah. Especially with like how the recruiting stuff works, like really freshman year is when you can start taking that ownership in your own journey, and especially making sure that you have the ability to take your game in your own hands, because that's what really the whole academy is really built on. All right, guys. If you have any baseball-related questions, feel free to ask. I think I might have missed a couple, so let's get back into it. Oh, this is a good one. All right, let's get into it. All right. Where was it? All right. My son's been invited to many college camps. Does that mean he's not on college coach's radar? So just by getting invited to a college camp does not mean that they are interested. It does not mean that they've even evaluated your son. It doesn't mean any of that. It's basically they're just trying to invite you to be able to grab the camp fee for 1 or 2 or 3 days for that specific camp, because typically these camps are ran by volunteer assistants for these college baseball programs. These volunteer assistants do not get paid a salary, so like these camps are a way for them to be able to make some money. But as far as if we're talking about like the impressions up here, this is an area that like at the very, very top, they're not even getting a chance to see your son play. They're not even getting that impression. They're not also even interested. They're not even able to evaluate. Actually, sorry, I got those upside down. We want to be able to get evaluated. Then from that, we're able to get some interest. Then we're able to get a visit, and then we're able to get offers. And ideally, we want to go D1, right? So like in that whole grand scheme of like how everything works, a college camp that they are inviting your son completely blind, completely cold, typically means like, hey, they're trying to evaluate your son, but they haven't evaluated your son yet. And ideally what we want to really create the environment is they see your son, they see what he's about, they're able to quickly evaluate him on a quick, highlight video that we're sending over to them directly through email, which is something that I teach to all my students. Then from that short video, they get slightly evaluated, but then mostly at an event, they get evaluated, whether it's a showcase tournament or a college camp. From that event, they get that interest, and from that interest, that's when direct communication, typically around junior and senior year, we're texting back and forth, we're having call conversations with those college coaches, and that's when they offer you or your son a visit. Usually on that visit, at the very end of that conversation, they like to sit down in the office and basically just kind of talk about the logistics of what that offer might look like if they obviously are interested in who your son is. And typically, what we're really shooting for are those D1 offers. We're not just looking for any offer. That's something that a lot of my players come to me exactly for. They're not just looking for a college baseball scholarship, they're looking for the right college scholarship. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense with everything that we have been discussing today. I feel like during these coffee and baseballs, I rarely get to even drink my coffee. I usually find myself drinking coffee at noon for like the first time, and I don't love that because I love my coffee, especially in the morning, just like everyone out there. All right. If there's any and this is really to the chat, anybody listening, if there's any ideas you guys have as far as like what you want me to go over during these lives, like I'm all ears. I have done in the past, and I'll go ahead and just add one in because why not? What I've done in the past are profile audits, and this is more coming from like the social media lens, because social media obviously is becoming more and more important. So like what I've done in the past is kind of just like break down individuals like Instagram profiles. I'm gonna go ahead and do one just right now, just in case there's one person out there listening that wants me to do theirs, and maybe we can quickly do that before we wrap up here in about 10 minutes. But for example, for Braxton, one of the very missed opportunities that I see a lot with high school baseball players, they're not using their profile name correctly. So this is the profile name. Let me actually change this up because I don't like how it's looking. So the profile name is basically a way to increase your overall searchability. So the searchability is huge when it comes to college coaches trying to search you. And this is the profile name. And I emphasize this area a lot because this is the area that a lot of high school baseball players completely lack. So as far as the profile name, we would want to put a space and then a vertical line, another space, and then typically graduation year. So 2029, we can put right here. Again, another space, vertical line, another space, and then typically this is where I like to put position. So like left-handed pitcher, first base, outfield. Since he's also pitching and he's a lefty, like I would probably just start with left-handed pitcher and kind of just go from there, right? So that is the profile name. This is going to be shown basically in that first line. This is, I think, pretty important. Now, what that does is we don't have to put necessarily graduation year. We can put Gonzaga High School. We don't need to put all the positions. It really opens up for more availability in our bio. And by the way, the reason I like to do these is because there is a program. It's not offered to everyone. It's only offered for my current students that talks about social media, branding, NIL opportunities. It's called Branding with Baseball. And it's really for my higher end program or higher end students that have already taken care of the development inside the triple play. But either way, so this allows us more space in the bio. So that way here can be more like Gonzaga. I'll do a little example, Gonzaga High School. And then basically from there, Gonzaga High School, I would probably want to do some level of metrics. So like that's where we could put like 67.2, vertical line, arm, 84, line, EV, 94. And then on the third line, that's where you can be like, watch my fall 25 highlights with an arrow down. And ideally that could be what the bio looks like right here. And then because we're putting that arrow down over here, this is where we can put a link to our YouTube highlight video, right? Now we're creating a dynamic where someone comes across this page, they know graduation year, position, some metrics, and now they want to kind of almost verify that in that whole process, right? Also, one thing about the profile picture, pretty far away to be able to see any like facial expression of Braxton or really who Braxton is. By the way, really cool picture like of the blurred baseball. But one thing that I always like to do is more of like a headshot style. So like basically think like to the top of your shoulders, think like a school picture. That way like your head's right here, your neck, and then your shoulders. And that way it's just a lot more clear, it's a lot more professional, and then people almost like feel like they know who you are. We already talked about Braxton not following me. This was from a couple of days ago. Braxton ended up following me, so good for him. But no, one thing that we're missing out on is we could use highlights here. Again, for specific highlight video. So like if we have a highlight video from summer, and then fall, and then high school, spring, right? Like, of course, we want to put like the specific year, so that way college baseball coaches can almost track that progress that we're facing. As far as why I wanted to bring this up again is like some of these pictures and videos, like really high quality, good angles, like you can tell like there is a presence on how we're posting that content, which obviously is really important. We don't want to just be like posting anything. We don't want to be posting those game changer films. If you're a parent out there and you post on behalf of your player, you just post the dreaded game changer film from the high, it's called like the high home plate angle, and you don't edit those videos, shame on you. Because those videos are the most boring things I've ever seen, and I typically don't watch them. I know a lot of parents, especially my DMs, because we do answer our DMs inside on Instagram, especially Facebook as well. If you guys have any specific questions, you're more than free to DM us on Instagram and Facebook. But guys, a lot of parents will love to brag, as you can imagine, and oh, here's my little Johnny. Here's a game changer clip, and once I see it's a game changer clip, ain't nobody got time for that. No. Because, yeah, those game changer films, one, they're terrible angles. They're so zoomed out. They're not edited. And by the way, like, you can use game changer film to, like, use in a highlight video. One of my students that just joined in had some game changer film. But it's how we edit it, how we blow things up, how we motion track that makes it a lot more professional. And that's actually something that I teach with some of my select students inside my Branding with Baseball course. So, it's not really more or less a course. It's like really that mentorship of like back and forth, making sure that, you know, your son has the ability to ask questions, how to edit, you know, specific things and things of that nature. Josiah Blankenship, you invited me. I appreciate you joining in. There's been a couple of people that joined in. I sent that text out to some people that hit up a list. So like, yeah, this is something that I just like to be able to share with you guys because I want to be able to give you guys, you know, basically, you know, the ability to ask me questions. Also for you to realize that I'm a real human being. And I'm also doing streaming every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. I might not do tomorrow. I might though. Who knows? Here in North Carolina, there is a chance that it snows today and tomorrow. So if we're snowed in, I think we're projecting like 5 or 6 inches. So that's kind of scary, but also great. I wouldn't mind going sledding. That would be kind of cool. Haven't gone sledding in a minute. We are looking to also possibly go snowboarding here shortly, which would be really fun. But yeah, guys, if you have any baseball-related questions as we wrap up, I'm going to probably go ahead and do a recap here in a second. And then we'll just kind of go from there. We usually go live for at least an hour a day. I'm also curious because like this is the weekend, so like 11 a.m. I would imagine more people to be Macomb. Is that Sam? I don't know if that's Sam or not. It's going great. This live is going great as well. We're wrapping things up though, but yeah, I'm curious since it is the weekend if like 11 a.m. works for you guys. One thing that I've noticed is like during the week, and this is something that of course if you guys have any input, let me know. But like if you guys are here, obviously you're here, which is great. But I've heard from some players that they can't make it at the 11 a.m. time. And it's like, well, as expected, I don't do these lives in particular for the player. I do it more for the parents because I like to have a little bit more of that just like professional back and forth conversation as far as like who I am, what parents can be doing, what parents are doing wrong. You're not Sam? Never mind. I have a student with the same exact last name, so I didn't know. Hey, I'm back. Yo, I just got 350 on bench. Let's go, Gavin. Let's go. Gavin, I think I reviewed your profile the other day. But yeah, some people are just telling me that they can't make it. This is why it's really, really critical. Anybody over on Instagram, head over to my YouTube page because I am live over on YouTube as well. That way you can get the recordings. The recordings are automatically published. You can just search for whatever day it was, right? So that's really important. Which social media platform is the best for them to share videos and to be seen? Okay, last question, and we will wrap this up. All right. By the way, sometimes I record stuff, and then that way you'll be able to see it on short form as well. So that's what I'm doing right here. All right. Which social media platform is the best for them to share videos and to be seen? So when we really talk about social media, you have a ton of options. We have TikTok, and in my opinion, that's too kid focused. You have Instagram, which I think is great. We have Facebook, which in my opinion is a little bit outdated, where college coaches aren't using it to get recruited. We have X, formerly Twitter, which is great. We also have YouTube, which is great as well. So ideally out of these three, we can definitely be posting. As far as where we want to meet these college baseball coaches to have them get the recruiting done, there's really two that I put ourselves in front of these college coaches, and it's really going to come down to Instagram and YouTube. Twitter can be done on occasion if you do something great and it's more like one-off clips, but Instagram is going to be where you can get and cast basically a wide enough net, right? So that's a net if you can't see. YouTube is actually going to be a tiny net. We're not going for the exposure there. We're trying to cast a wide net using Instagram, and these are the people or the coaches that we're trying to cast with the content that we're posting, and maybe just one of them will move over to YouTube, which is more going to be like a database of a ton of videos, of highlight videos, of practice film, of showcasing who we are and what we're up to and showcasing that consistency. So Twitter, like I said, can be used, but I would be more or less focused on YouTube to basically nurture that relationship, Instagram to find. And to kind of like put it out there again, like Instagram is a pond, again, of fishies. How do you draw fishes like that? Yeah, right. So these are a bunch of fish, right? And there's so many more fish. So if we go on TikTok, which it's a pond, and to be fair, like it is a big pond. TikTok is, you can get a lot of views, but those views might not be college coaches. So like, again, how many college coaches are actually on TikTok? Not many. X, yeah, there are a lot of college baseball coaches, but it's a smaller pool where you're not able to really see, yes, there's plenty of college baseball coaches that use Twitter to get recruited, but you're not gonna get that large, widespread visibility like you would over on Instagram. So again, we're using Instagram because we can pull together maybe those three people and pull them over to YouTube, and that's going to help nurture that relationship with that specific college baseball coach. Ooh. All right, so we're going to go ahead and, because we're out of time, we're going to recap today, and we will go from there. Great question, by the way, and we will get started. All right, recap, day 15 of 50, streaming every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern time, excluding Sundays. So first question was really about projectability and if that's a great thing. And yeah, based off of height and weight, it basically tells, a college coach will tell you that, of course, if you are projectable to be able to play at that university. It's more or less just like, let's wait to make sure that that body starts to develop, put on some more muscle. We talked about social media and really about how social media can be used as a platform builder, and this will take time. So if we just start our junior year and expect it to grow by our senior year, that is not going to be the way that that works. We also talked about just the idea of overnight success. A lot of people will think someone that's way up here after 13 years of absolutely grinding in the trenches, that's an overnight success, which of course I do not believe in. Senior year, someone asked if they're a senior, can I help with seniors that late in the recruiting process. I've had a student in Washington State with 0 offers in March that had multiple offers by May. So yes, it is possible. And again, that is Washington State. We're not talking about Washington, D.C. We also talked about having goals to be able to have those high goals, reach for the stars. This was coming from a question that someone asked about shooting for JUCO, and in my opinion, you should be shooting for big dreams and goals. This is another example that I had from the previous day as well. If your son is sitting at a huge feast of a table and isn't willing to eat, even though he's hungry, this is not good, right? And this is kind of what lessons do. And again, 1 hour a week versus like 21 hours a week, if your son's able to put extra work in, it's going to be very, very obvious. And again, I talked about kind of like a cold plunge. When I tell myself I'm going to do something, just do the hard work now. It's not going to get any easier. This was a really good example of basically like let's say like a big league player that just never gets any better, isn't doing anything to get better. If you or your son is right there and is doing what the high school team is doing, he's probably going to get just as good as the rest of the high school kids. But if he's on this green trajectory right here, this is where he's able to see that separation between him and the rest of his teammates. One huge concept that we were able to unpack really is, hey, my son doesn't have enough time. And this was typically coming from parents. And this is where I kind of debunked that myth, because we all have time. It's really about the prioritization of that time, because we all have the same 24 hours. And if you don't believe me, Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, they have 24 hours as well. It really came down to a secondary question, which is not prioritizing, not necessarily the baseball season, but is really talking about the development post baseball season. And this was coming from another parent that also said we don't have time, but they're also playing football in the fall. And again, this development curve of just going from 100% before the football season starts to 70 to 20, and then that 20 is going to go back into the fall. This is where your son's never going to be able to really truly grow. And especially going from like that 30,000 foot view, this is where we're able to see the change in what we're doing. And really, this is where we create a game plan on an eligibility review, which is like a Zoom call. We also talked about camps and what that really means in the whole college recruiting process. Typically, it just means dollars for these volunteer assistants. It doesn't necessarily mean that your son is getting evaluated or even interested in that specific coach. They're just, more or less inviting you to a camp. We did another profile review just so you guys understand. I love talking about social media. And again, we talked about social media and what platforms. Instagram, YouTube are going to be my favorites, because again, YouTube is going to be a nurturing vehicle for the people that we're able to grab over on Instagram. Woo! All right, guys. Well, that is it for day 15 of 50, streaming every single day. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to me over on YouTube. If you haven't already, also make sure to follow me over on Instagram or Facebook. We go live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Be on the lookout for tomorrow. Tomorrow I might be live, might not be. But either way, if you're on YouTube, you subscribe to me, you'll get an email when I do go live. So make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.
Welcome Evan Mendoza to the program.
Cardinals third baseman Evan Mendoza. Giving it a look, finds the railing and he tumbles over, but he made the catch. Unbelievable, Evan Mendoza.
Gran jugada en Evan Mendoza, dos joyas defensivas.
Evan Mendoza makes a great
Rounded up the middle is Mendoza, throws back the shortstop. Mendoza field spins, throws.
Mendoza throw to first in time. Wow, what a play by Evan Mendoza. Short. Mendoza to second for one. Oh my word, you've got to be kidding. Evan Mendoza. For Mendoza lifts one to left. An inning. Mendoza, that one's sailing back there, and it's gone.
Now, those are some of the plays and the insights of playing baseball at the highest level, not just posting about it. Now, let's flip the script. Here's what my students and families have to say about working with me.
Just share his stories of the kids asking him, what did you do? And his one answer was one word. Evan.
It's an overall great program to improve your metrics, mental approach, your velocity, and your outreaching strategies. Because there's a ton of players I know that are way better than me that had 0 offers because they don't know how to reach out to coaches.
Pretty much every possible number would have gone up. I was high 70s, and now I'm aiming for mid to high 80s and hitting the same thing. I was high 80s off machine, and now I'm able to put some balls out in the mid 90s.
JT's motivation to want to do it at home, be proactive in his baseball career, and we are able to do these things for him, and it's self-motivated, and he's taken that action. As a parent, you want to be able to say yes to something like that.
It's been making me feel much more confident. Like now going into the season, I feel I have all the ability I need, and I can just play and trust that all the work I did will pay off.
I started working out. I was about 120, 115, about 160 now. I trusted it, and it worked. If you want to go get it, it's not going to come to you.
My EV was about 75 and my body weight was around 155, around that. Since I joined that, I'm up to almost 180 now and I'm hitting 80s, around mid 80s.
How much more kind of committed he was and how much more confident he became in his own progress, instead of questioning himself about, am I doing the right thing or is this the right thing? So you could kind of see the stress level decrease a little bit, and then that energy could be focused on really all of the program aspects, right? Or his workouts.
Do that. If you could get on and do what you said day in, day out, it's amazing. It's like a game changer.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. I could feel the improvement myself. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
You can give him guidance and he can always ask questions to you. I could see how he became more confident after talking to you every time. You are always there when he needs. I think it's really important to know or be told from someone professional like you.
It was a completely new experience for us. I think we were skeptical. We dove into some of the content. We realized how good it was and the quality of it. The way that you kind of worked with him and you set expectations for him. And like, hey, these are the things I'm expecting from you. And that was a big part of why we enjoyed the program as well.
The program has made me like a little eagerness to go out and do something and not just like wait for the team practice and do things on my own.
As his dad, I can tell him till I'm blue in the face that this needs to be done. And sometimes it doesn't resonate coming from the dad. Sometimes it needs to come from a pro ball player.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
I definitely recommend joining it. It's awesome. The community's great. Having you there to support you is incredible, and overall love the program.
You get the full structure. You get your lifting, you get your arm velocity, you get your mechanics, you get your hitting, and the hands-on approach from you.
Infield velo was 68 or something like that. It was not good. My 60-yard dash was 7.7, which is not good. And I was not very mobile. I wasn't very strong. I mean, I'm a big kid, but a lot of it was just like from my size. My infield velo now is 80, and my 60-yard dash is 70.
It's insane. What was the root cause for all that?
I mean, it was just staying consistent with the program. I think just I had to really stay on, like focus on the path that I was trying to get. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to become elite. I was trying to get better. I know the stats at the time. I was like, oh yeah, that's not that bad. But going back and looking, that's not where I should be to play at the next level. Staying consistent with the program really helped me through that time.
I feel like now I'm really like dialed in into what I'm doing. So when I do it, it's just like this before, like you talked about earlier, like it's just coming in naturally.
That felt good. I mean, it gave me my confidence shot up. I think you should join in. You do a really good job of replying back to messages, and you're really fast to help out other people with like coaching and their swings. You're a pretty good coach.
Hitting improved, lifting improved, velocity went up, speed went up, everything in general went up. Before joining, I tracked my 60 time and I was running a 8.22, and then after a while, I did a showcase, and then I ran a 7.08.
What do you think the leading cause for that? That's crazy jump.
Probably mobility and probably the exercises that